Hey there guys, Craig Ferreira here from the Creative Frequency. So first things first is a huge congratulations to all of you who signed up to the Ignite Your Genius free 3-hour talk. And secondly, welcome to your free gift on how and why your geniuses create financial freedom effortlessly. And how can you start implementing that into your life effortlessly using our new and unique Genius gas system. I just want to start this off. This is all around creating financial freedom in your life, number one. But I'm also going to say that this is going to be something that's very different to anything that you could have ever expected, number one, and number two, that anything that you used to. So first things first is there are a lot of tools out there on creating financial freedom. There's a lot of tools that you can get from a lot of people. But I'm not here to give you the tools as so to speak. What I'm here to do and what I'm here to implement is to change your mindset, to change your consciousness more specifically around financial freedom, around money. And the reason I want to do that is you can look anywhere and everywhere. There's evidence all over the world with regards to science that's actually proving that everything is just consciousness. So just a heads up, that's what this is all about. This is all around your consciousness. What is your personal and unique relationship with money? I'm going to try and make this online series as practical as possible to get you to question yourself, to get you to question the way that you think, and to question your consciousness around money, because when you've done that, only then can you truly start creating financial freedom. So the first thing is what I want to step into is the unique gas genius system. And what is that? And what is it exactly? And what are we looking into here? So the gas genius system, what it comes down to is it comes down to three parts. The gas is the gas literally to fuel a life on your terms. In order to fuel a life on your terms, you're going to need some sort of gas to support that. So what is the gas? What does the acronym actually stand for? So number one is genius. Number two is awareness. And number three is structure. So in the three-part series, in this three-part video series, I'm going to go through all three elements of the gas system. And today's video number one, you guessed it, we're going to look into your genius. So I guess the first things first is, what is a genius? A lot of us have a misconception around genius, and we actually think that a genius means that you're something like an Albert Einstein, that you're mathematically or scientifically inclined. Although that could be true for you, it doesn't necessarily mean that is what a genius is. The definition of a genius is the spirit from within. So in other words, every single one of us have an innate and a unique genius. Now, that could be in technology, that could be in humanitarian, that could be in being a leader, that could be being even a mother. It could even be in making coffee. Because if somebody wasn't making coffee, hey, not everybody can save the world. Just kidding. So on that note, your genius could be in anything. It's your innate genius. It's your unique purpose. It's what have you been sent to this big green and blue ball for? What have you been sent here to create? What have you been sent here to bring about into being? Now, a lot of us seek out this purpose like it's a holy grail. But it's not actually a holy grail. Ultimately, your genius, your purpose is exactly what you would love to create. And what is it that you would love to bring into being? What is it that you would love to bring to this world, to bring fruition to this world? So if we look at Steve Jobs, what was Steve Jobs? Steve Jobs' genius was in creating Apple. And it wasn't only the technology element, because if we look at it, it is truly genius. Because Apple, their biggest revenue intake is not actually from the physical products. Their biggest revenue and their most of their money and their financial freedom of that business actually comes from iTunes. It comes from something that they do the least work in, yet they get the most revenue out of it. If we look at Nelson Mandela, let's bring it close to home. We're in sunny South Africa. I'm coming to you from Benoni, sunny South Africa right now, in my entertainment area. And I'm sure you're going to hear birds cheeping in the background. And, you know, if we look at Nelson Mandela, what was Nelson Mandela's genius? Nelson Mandela's genius was to be a leader. If we look at Nikola Tesla, what was his? It was all around electricity. If we look at Oprah Winfrey, what is she? She's a social genius, okay? So there is all different levels of genius. It could be in social media. It could be in, I don't know, you name it, speaking, coaching, changing people's lives. Whatever it is, your genius is laying dormant within you in this moment. And the beauty in having a genius is that nobody can tell you how to create your genius. Now, I'm not here to give you tools on how to create your genius. I'm here to give you tools to ignite your genius. I'm here to give you the tools to empower you to step out and create the life that you would love. Now, in a world where everything is changing exponentially, what is happening is big corporates are crumbling and small entrepreneurs are taking the throne. And what I mean by that is if we take a look at Uber, if we take a look at Airbnb, these are small companies, or rather huge companies now. But what are these companies? They are companies. Uber is the biggest taxi company in the world, yet they don't own one taxi. Airbnb is the biggest hotel industry in the world, yet they don't own one piece of real estate. So what am I telling you? That the world is changing exponentially and it's changing at a rapid rate. And the only way to stick out, everybody out there is a coach or a speaker or a social entrepreneur or a social media entrepreneur or a lawyer. There is so many people out there doing the same thing. And the only way that you can stick out in this exponential world is by being unique. It's by being you and bringing what's laying dormant within you to fruition. So what am I telling you? It's not about copying anybody else. It's about being unique to you. It's about following your truth and going for what's laying dormant within you. So having that said, how do we actually start igniting our genius? What's the first thing that we can put into place that's going to start igniting your genius? And any other geniuses out in the world today, they've all got the same thing in common. They've all got this one thing waxed and mastered. And the first thing we're going to look at in this training series is your focus. Now, there is a big misconception out there that we need to learn to focus, and we're not focused all of the time. But once again, that is a misconception. Why do I say that is a misconception? Because we are actually focused 100% of the time. 100% of the time, we are always focused on something. The problem is that we don't always know what we focused on. This is why it's so crucial to understand the awareness element. And that we'll look into in video 2. So what we're going to look into today is your focus. So what are you focused on? If you're starting a business, number one, what are you actually focused on? Are you focused on starting one business? Are you focused on starting 10 businesses? Are you not sure what to do? Are you sure what to do, but you're worried about the marketplace? Are you sure what to do, but you're worried about politics? Are you sure what to do, but you're worried about the economy? So where do you fall in that space? When you think about money, if I had to tell you right now, which I'm going to tell you right now, I don't usually do a sale so early in my presentation, but I'm going to charge you 4,000 Rand to get the rest of this training series. And in doing so, I can promise you now, you'll ignite your genius and your life will never be the same. Okay, cool. So what I want you to do now is just take a step back and just observe what happened for you there. As soon as I mentioned 4,000 Rand for something to change your life forever, what was your relationship to that 4,000 Rand? Observe. Be with yourself. What's going on there? All right? Maybe just pause this video for a second and sit with yourself. The big lump coming in your throat. We're thinking, this guy's crazy, I don't even know, where am I going to get 4,000 Rand? We're thinking 4,000 Rand is way too much to change my life through an online course. I don't know. What were you thinking? So just take a little bit of time to reflect. Firstly, what was your relationship there with spending that 4,000 Rand? Alrighty. So coming back to the focus is that we are always focused 100% of the time. So in our training, we abide to a premise that your focus creates your reality. So the best way for me to explain this and how does your focus create your reality is I'm going to put a slide on screen now so that you can see our premise of consciousness. So if you look at the consciousness right on the top, you can see we have the superconscious. That is where your innate ability, that is where your true potential, that is where your financial freedom, that is where the business, where your heart exists, that is where all the answers that you seek exist, come from your superconscious. Now, a lot of the positive thinking realm, and you might think I'm talking about positive thinking here, but I'm really not talking about positive thinking. I'm getting more into end result orientation, but I will step into that a little bit later. Your superconscious is where your genius, your imagination, your creativity, your intuition exists. All right? And this is where a lot of people in positive thinking, The Secret, etc., by the way, we're none of that. A lot of them, what they're alluding to is your superconscious, but they don't actually know how to engage and connect with that superconscious and operate from that space. And we'll look deeper into that in the next training series on around awareness. But for now, what I want to bring you back to is the superconscious. And underneath the superconscious, you can take a look there. We've got the unconscious. So the unconscious, pretty much what the unconscious comes down to, your unconscious is where your, what we call your identity exists. Okay? Your identity is all of your thoughts, your feelings, your past experiences, your beliefs, your assumptions, and your definitions exist. And the problem is that all of us base our future on our past experiences. But if you are creating something new and you're living in an exponential world of change, tell me, how could you create something new from a past experience? It can't support you moving forward. And you want proof on that? Look at the corporate world. Look at the educational system. Look at politics. All of these things are collapsing because what works in the past, plain and simply, can't work in the future. Now, the problem with this is that your unconscious, your identity was designed for one thing specifically, and one thing solely. And that was to ensure your safety, your security, and your survival. One of the biggest areas that pushes us most into our identity, one of the biggest areas in our life that forces us and pushes us most into identity, in other words, our safety, security, and survival, is money and relationships. So obviously in this series we're looking at money, but you wouldn't believe it, money is just a relationship that you have that has come from a past experience, from your upbringing between the ages of 0 and 4 years old, through your cultural background, through your religious background, through your home, through the area you grew up, your demographics, you name it, whatever area, whatever life you got brought up into, it built your safety, security, and survival. Now, your safety, security, and survival is your ego. This is built in your unconscious. Now, this is very relevant to our life, and it was very relevant to our lives if we go 100,000 years back, or maybe 1,000,000 years back when dinosaurs were roaming, and we saw a saber-toothed tiger, and when we see saber-toothed tiger, it kicks in your consciousness, safety, security, and survival. It was a great mechanism and a great tool in your ego. But in the modern day and in the modern world of exponential growth, this isn't an orientation that can actually serve us. So more on that a little bit later. Back to our premise of consciousness. Then we've got the subconscious. The subconscious is pretty much just a fertile ground. So whatever you project into your subconscious, whatever you focus on, whatever message you feed to your subconscious message, that is the reality that you are going to create in your life. All right? So your subconscious mind is just a fertile ground, and whatever you feed it, it will create. So if you focus on safety, security, survival all the time, which is what we all are by instinct, by nature, whenever we think about money, it kicks us straight into safety, security, and survival. Because how can I save my money? How can I be sure? How can I trust? Can I control the outcome? Etc., etc., etc. So it kicks us into the safety, security, and survival. Because we focused on safety, security, and survival, what message are we giving to our subconscious mind? Therefore, what reality are we creating? And then we say, you know what? I knew it. You can't trust anybody. You know what? I knew it. I couldn't trust them. They were going to screw me over. You know what? I knew it. It was going to be a scam. You know what? I knew it. They were going to, it was a fraud. You name it. What consciousness do you have around money when you're making big money deals? All right? So, having that said, the safety, security, and survival, we've also got the genius. What is your genius? Once again, your genius exists of your imagination, your creativity, and your intuition. All right? So in your genius is your imagination, your creativity, and your intuition. Now, why no human is set apart to any other human is because every single one of us have this thing called an imagination. But my question to you, when you're thinking about creating financial freedom, when you're thinking about creating a multi-million-dollar business, when you're thinking about money, what are you using your imagination to do? To think of worst case scenario and why it's not going to work, and how do you need to ensure your safety, and how are you going to put safety nets in place, and what do you need to do to create the survival and the security? Or are you using your imagination to create a reality that you would love? Now, Peter Drucker has got a quote that says, the best way to predict your future is to create your future. So, one thing that happens when we're playing in our genius, there's always a catch to anything that's always too good to be true, isn't there? So what is the catch with your genius? I'm telling you, you have this genius, it has all the answers, it's going to create the financial freedom for you, but there is something in place that's standing in your way. And what is that thing standing in your way? Your genius exists in the unknown. Us as humans are creatures of comfort, conformity, and comfort zones. As soon as we step out of the unknown, our identity kicks up and starts screaming at us to get us back into our comfortable, known world. Now, this is crucial to understand if you are creating anything new that has never been created before. Your identity is always going to kick a fuss to step you back into your known world. So I'm telling you, or I have told you, that your financial freedom is a relationship with yourself. That means you've got a relationship with money. As soon as you start stepping outside of your known world, in other words, as soon as you start creating more money, your focus is going to shift to your safety, security, and survival unconsciously to get you out of the unknown and back into the known world. Now, I'm sure you've experienced this. If you think about it, every time you get a bonus, doesn't that money go just as quick as it came in? As soon as you get more money into your bank account, don't you find something to spend it on? As soon as you get a new career or you get a new client that makes you more money, don't you always find something new to spend that money on? Don't you waste that money just as quick as it came in? And before you even know it, you look back and go, geez, what happened to all that money? I had so much extra money, excess money. All right? So this isn't true for everybody. Some people have got a different relationship with money, but the majority of people, this is a truth. Now, the beauty of what I'm training here, this doesn't only work with money. This can also apply to your relationships, your health, your wealth, your career, your business, wherever. But what we're looking into here is your financial freedom. So coming back to the premise of this first video is that your focus creates your reality, and whatever you focus on is exactly what you're going to create. Let's take a step back and see what we've covered here. I asked you earlier, are you starting 10 businesses or are you starting one business? If you're starting 10, why are you starting 10? What's the reason to start 10 businesses? Because it creates more impact and more different streams of income to come in, isn't it? I get that, cool. But tell me, what are you actually focused on? Your safety, security, and survival. Whenever you're thinking about creating a new venture, what's going to kick in? What your focus is going to shift to is your safety, security, and survival. The problem is that your unconscious is so unconscious and so ingrained in our unconsciousness that we don't even know that it's there. We don't even know that it's speaking to us. And how does your unconscious speak to you? Through your thoughts and your feelings. This is how your unconscious speaks to you. Think about it. Where do your thoughts and feelings come from? They come from past experiences, don't they? And if we're operating and we're living in a past experience, what are we going to keep recreating? A past experience. Now, the best way to explain this is think about anybody who's ever worked in a corporate environment, or anybody who's a change maker and set out to create change. What does everybody do? Everybody goes, no, we need to do things this way. And you question, why do you need to do things this way? And in questioning why do things need to be done this way, what do those people do? They just fight to stay in the same old known way, because that is their safety, security, and survival. Now, here's a bit of a biggie here. I want you to take a step back now and think about something. Let's put this all aside for a second. Do you like tension? Like really, do you like tension? Like innate tension? Like, you know, when you feel tense and you've got a lot of tension? Every time you step out of your known world to create something new, in this case, create more money, you're going to step outside of your safety, security, and survival. And by stepping outside your safety, security, and survival, you're going to start stepping into the unknown. And if you start stepping into the unknown and you start stepping into the river of change, innately that is going to spark off a tension within you. And as a genius, I put it to you that tension is your best friend. And the reason I say this is because all tension is just a creative force. Think about it. if I want to shoot a bow and arrow, the more tension I have in that arrow, the more accuracy I can get with that arrow. The further distance I can get with that arrow. With no tension, I can't really shoot that arrow. So how is this relevant to you? Anytime you step out and you create and change in your life, it's going to spark off an innate tension within you. And if you don't know how to use that tension will sabotage your results and your financial freedom every single time without a doubt. Period. You want proof of this? Think about it. Can you take a street sweeper and put them into a CEO decision maker position? Can you do that? No, because they don't have the skills and they don't have the ability to handle the tension that a multi-million-dollar business CEO can handle. Can you even take an admin clerk or take a secretary and shift them from a position of dealing with clients on a day-to-day basis and phone calls to making multi-million-dollar decisions every day? So my question to you is, what is your relationship with money, number one? And number two, what is your relationship with your tension? Because if you haven't mastered your tension, you can never, ever master your financial freedom. So that's it for this video one. In the next video, we're going to be stepping into and looking at your awareness and how does your awareness affect the bigger picture of financial freedom. And most importantly, how do you take control of your tension, which has been sabotaging your whole life up until now? How do you take control of that? Because where does it come from? How does it work? And what is it seeking to achieve? I've just told you, as a genius, your biggest gift is your tension. So how do we get into that orientation? So I'm looking forward to the next video with you around awareness, where we're going to be delving into the unconscious. We're going to be delving into why your identity seeks safety, security, and survival and wants to keep you in your known world. And then number two, how do we step out of that and actually start becoming genius creators to create financial freedom using the GAS Genius system? Awesome chatting to you. Great session, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Ciao.